So Gundam, what can you say about it that hasn't been said already? Well, quite a lot of things, but one thing I could definitely say from a personal experience is it definitely became one of those hobbies or franchises that I never thought I would get into, but I'm actually glad that I actually got into sometime soon. Now granted, I still have a lot to watch, but this video is not about the franchise alone. It's more about my experience at the Yokohama Gundam factory. Now the moment this thing dropped at the start of this decade, it exploded on social media. Outside of it being a part of the Guinness World Records, as well as holding the record for the tallest mobile suit that's currently built in Japan, it's definitely a much breathtaking experience when you actually see it in person. And walking with my Japanese family from the subway all the way up to Yokohama Prefecture definitely was quite the experience in and of itself. Now, outside of it holding the Guinness World Record, it's also known for having its own lore. In context for the RX-78 F00, or F100 as I like to call it, basically in a nutshell, after the destruction that was the RX-78-2, they actually scavenged pieces of the actual mobile suit and actually decided to rebuild it at the Yokohama Prefecture as the F100. So it's kind of cool to actually have some amount of lore incorporated into the mobile suit itself. And there are a couple of things that you can actually do over there outside of paying to actually go see the mobile suit itself actually move and kneel and even do the Tendo Soji Oba-chan ga ite ita Tenomichi wo iki subete wo tsugasu to rotoko. Jesus Christ, I gotta stop referencing Kamen Rider. I can't help it. For an extra $33, I'd want to say, you can actually go into the G-Dock, where you can go to the 5th and the 6th floor to actually get a closer view of the mobile suit, which I actually found pretty fascinating. And obviously, since I went with my Japanese family, we got to cosplay from Gundam Seed and definitely have a good time, and even my brother and sister got pics taken as well. I was just kind of more of a background kind of character, which I didn't mind, especially since I'm a foreigner, technically in this case. And we had a great time, not only just going to the G-Dock, but just cosplaying for the event itself. And I even got to meet one person that they actually knew. I think his name was Buddy, I could be wrong, but he was like a mid-aged man, just like very energetic and very enthusiastic, and just be like, "Oh, nice to see you," when they were talking to my family, and even just said to me, "Oh, hey, you're a very handsome man." I'm sorry, I'm not. And of course, you can go into the Gundam Cafe, where you can actually get a lot of good sweets and a lot of good meals and everything else. I had a bed of rice and also won the ice creams, and I was gonna get a, I think it was a tiramisu huddle cup, I can't remember. I wasn't able to get that, unfortunately, but it's no biggie. And then they also had a conference room, which they were actually showing, I think it was like a mini documentary of, or not a mini documentary, but just like a video showcasing how they built the mobile suit. And they also had like a bunch of murals as you first walk in. And unfortunately, they're supposed to come, if you actually purchase your ticket, you're supposed to come with like a little free 1/200 scale mini model of the F100. Unfortunately, they didn't have those during my visit, but luckily, do a little jump cut here, I still need to do some touching up on the other half of the F100, but yeah, basically very tiny that I can literally fit it in the palm of my hand, and even comes with like a cute little G-Dock representation. It's a fun little freebie. So I'm actually glad I got to purchase stuff from my sister to actually get this, so yay. And they also had what's called the Gundam Academy, which from my personal experience definitely gave more of a Kosai vibe to me. And for those of you not from Ohio and don't know anything about Kosai, I apologize. But Kosai in a nutshell is basically like all of this. But Kosai is more like a science interaction kind of a place where it used to be very popular, but nowadays it's just like there are definitely a lot of interactive pieces that you can actually do over there, between seeing a smaller version of what's already at the G-Dock itself, which is definitely way past the 1/48 scale. I can definitely confirm that. But you can also like move one of the fingers as well as the abdominal section, and even put pieces together via magnets. And there was even one section where you could actually like do like an interaction kind of thing, like move your own body parts digitally. Unfortunately, they didn't have the finger, so I wasn't able to do the Tendo Soji thing, unfortunately. It just kind of felt more like, damn you, Zaku and Chara, out of your shenanigans. Just like that. And on top of all that, it actually had a plethora of things related to not only Gunpla, but also like the history of Gundam, like as an anime, or at least I think so. I can't read Japanese, unfortunately, nor do I speak it all that well, so make of that what you will, but it was still cool overall. Now, when this exploded on social media, it was just more of one of those things where I was like, man, it's kind of cool, but not really up my alley. And keep in mind, this was way before I got into Gundam, and I still have a lot to consume content-wise. But let's just say in regards to merch, here you go. At least from high grade all the way up to master grade. And even though my father technically tunes into a lot of news-related stuff related to politics as well as the world, he tunes into pop culture from time to time. And he actually sent me a video of the Granddaddy when it started blowing up on social media as well. And I was like, I guess I wouldn't mind tuning into it. And then after buying the high-grade version of Granddaddy at my local Meijer, I was like, why not? And let's just say from that point on, I kind of got crazy with Gunpla and Gundam in general. Thanks a lot, Dad. But yeah, overall, if you're a Gundam fan, or even just a Gunpla fan, or even both, I would definitely go to Japan and go see this as soon as possible. Because comparing the F100 walking in person versus online, the first time I actually saw it walk in person, I cried behind the camera. I honestly cried because it was just so beautiful to look at. And one of the misconceptions that people do have is that Japan is the future in regards to technology. Well, yes and no. From my experience over there, it was just more on par with what like New York has with like the electronic posters in Times Square and other stuff like that. But we're far off from having a bunch of bipedal war machines just like going to war and duking it out and other shit. So we're not there yet, unfortunately. But it's still cool with what we currently have now. And it's kind of sad that some people might not actually get to see the actual experience, because it was originally said that this was supposed to close by the end of March of this year, but luckily they actually postponed it to next year, and the chances of them postponing afterwards to like 2025 or something, I don't know. I mean, if nothing else, I wouldn't mind it just being like a piece of history, even if it's just like an immobile statue or something, like the Unicorn Gundam, which unfortunately I wasn't able to see, or even the Strike Freedom Gundam, just to name a few. It would be cool to at least just like keep it all intact and just like stand there, even if it's just like, you know what this is. But yeah, overall, I've definitely had a great time going to the Gundam factory at Yokohama, and it's definitely one thing I would definitely recommend to anybody. And even just getting into the hobby of Gunpla in general, I definitely felt a very more zen, relaxing time just building a model kit, any kind of model kit, regardless of the scale, and just tuning into some lo-fi and just having my zen in peace, just building a bunch of pieces of plastic to complete a one giant robot. Such an exciting time. So yeah, that's pretty much all that I have for today's video, so nothing really too exciting. So until next time, I'll see you with our trip to Disney World.